We sell a microscopic worm called a nematode. It attacks soil insects and soil insect pests. We use them in agriculture for pest control. And kind of our unique angle is it's a one-time application and should be good for at least a few decades, based on our research. This all came out of my father's lab at Cornell University over his career, and it was developed originally for an invasive pest that's only in, I believe, northern New York. So, pretty small market. He kind of stumbled on that this works really well in corn and organic vegetables and other things. So now we've got ourselves a business, and we're trying to get it out to the masses.
The lab is one thing.
Mhm.
The larger application is another.
Yeah.
When we last talked, you had already kind of done and had clients, but as you've gotten bigger, does the idea still hold in what the vision was and what the research was?
Yeah, it is a big jump to go from the lab, to full production. As my father would say, entomologists are not very good corn growers. They're they're interested in insect damage. I think it's been really cool to see professional farmers, professional corn growers, and what they can do with the technology. We're even starting to see a benefit even when there's not really bad rootworm damage. I had a guy call me last spring, and he had a 12 bushel difference between his treated and untreated, and treated with our BioControl nematodes, and then the rest of his farm was untreated. So you're talking, 1,500 acres compared to 2,000 acres. And he was trying to convince me that it was our product. We went and dug his field. There wasn't, rateable root damage, but the only difference was the BioControl nematodes. So we think it's probably preventing some early root damage and giving his cornfields a head start. So it's constantly evolving, I would say.
I mentioned Webster City where you're at, and again, center of a lot of corn.
Mhm.
Is it still the center of where your clients are?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of response in the livestock heavy areas, and the guys growing continuous corn. They've got a lot of rootworm pressure. They've really stressed out the traits that they're using to fight rootworm, and so those are kind of the initial clusters.
2025 in some big corn growing areas was a challenging year for pests. We heard about the rust. That's not what you're trying to chase, but does that throw off results or understanding results of your product?
Well, I think everything's always interconnected. We had a field where the guy ran out of, he was applying our biocontrol nematodes to the field. He ran out of product for the last 20 acres. Um, he got, he was told by the applicator who came to spray fungicide that he couldn't get through the last 20 acres. So because he had really bad rootworm damage, he wasn't able to spray for fungicide. He lost even more yield. So there seems to be all these kind of secondary benefits that you don't necessarily think about, and then you can't get through the corn to spray your fungicide in a year like in 25 where plant disease was so widespread. So I think it's really having a healthy root system, I think, is the foundation to a good crop, and you can really lower your inputs, which I know is top of mind for a lot of guys this year.
But what about those that just rotate bean corn, alfalfa, or whatever?
The nematodes persist just fine across rotation. There's quite a few soil insects in your soybean acres that they can persist on. The original research in New York that we've got 30 years of data of persistence data on, that's for dairies, and they're on a 4-year corn alfalfa rotation. And so, like, one of the early studies was, will this persist across when there's corn or alfalfa? So very confident. I went back this past November, down to a field we applied in 2019 in Roswell, New Mexico, and we went back and sampled, and the biocontrol nematodes are still there. They're still humming right along at the levels we'd expect. And we went back and tried to calculate what the benefit's been over the last 7 years, and it's between 400,000 and 500,000. It's a silage field, so silage is a bit more valuable than an acre of grain. But yeah, a huge ROI for, I think the farmer spent $9,000 on nematodes. So we're pretty proud of that. Big return for the grower.
We hit dry at the end of the growing season in Iowa and
Yeah.
Illinois. I mean, it had various times and things like that. When you mentioned 2025, do you put the word success behind it yet?
Yeah. I think it was a great year. We sold 25,000 acres. We basically sold out of product, and we should have, with our improvements, 30,000 acres available for this spring. Trying to double every year. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, I think overall a success. You could see the application line of where there were nematodes and where there weren't, based on down corn. And the coolest part, that those nematodes were applied in 2024, so they were applied the year before. There was no rootworm pressure, and then we saw a lot of rootworm pressure this year in that field, and it was very compelling.
The full MTOM podcast is available now.